First of all, I'd just like to point out that I experienced a really nice welcome to country over the weekend. It was at a multicultural festival where the local Aboriginal elder was very pragmatic. I believe his name was Shannon Bowens. He's a ranger from the Bunya Mountains. He told us the history of the location and explained that it was traditional to welcome travellers to the region. It made sense at a multicultural festival which people had travelled to get to. He was very gracious, he was very understanding of other people's opinions. He offered a smoking ceremony to those who wanted it, but he also explicitly said that if people didn't want to participate, that's fine too. He didn't want to force anybody to do anything they weren't comfortable doing. He actually made people feel quite welcome and was happy to have a chat with anybody who wanted to. My point is, I'm not against welcome to country out of hand. When it's done in the right setting and done in a way that unites the community, I think it's fine. On the other hand, there is news of a surf club in the small town of Yamber in northern New South Wales being extorted. Is that the right word? Yamber Surf Club forced to pay $2,000 to Yaegl Traditional Owners to access beach. Apparently, there was a $500 fee for service for each of 4 events over the 2024 lifesaving season, including an event that encourages young children to learn how to save drowning people from the ocean. Obviously, a $2,000 fee for a club that relies on donations and sponsorship to survive. Understandably, this upset a few of its members. Noting that in 2017, the Yaegl people became the first Indigenous people in New South Wales to be granted native title over the ocean. One upset surf club member was quoted as saying, "A lot of members are outraged by it. It's pretty un-Australian to charge someone to use the beach, let alone volunteer surf lifesavers wanting to compete and raise funds for their club. This isn't the thin edge of the wedge, it's the thick end. Stopping people from climbing Uluru and Mt Warning is one thing, but charging them to use the beach is taking it to another level." One of the lifesavers said, "The club's only fundraising events are the ocean swim, a trivia night and crab race, with sponsors helping prop up the club. I'm not sure they'd be too happy about seeing their sponsorship dollars go to an Aboriginal corporation." Of course, there's always 2 sides to every story, so I'll try to be as fair as possible here. The general manager of the Yaegl Traditional Owners Corporation, Billy Walker, said there had been a misunderstanding. He said, "Everything that we've tried to do, there's a stuff-up, and it's not our fault. It's a confusing process. We get a lot of negative shite from people who don't understand the welcome to country. We don't do it as a living. We do it as a cultural activity with a fee for service that brings in income just like any other organisation. We don't shut anything down or anything off. As a corporation, we've got to change our attitude towards who we charge a fee for service. If it's a government agency that does it, we do charge because it's a legitimate act. But we're not going to charge the Surf Lifesaving Club. As far as I'm concerned, they can still do their activities and we will not be charging them a fee for service because the right people didn't come to us in the first place. It should have been the state or local government." As one of the surf club members mentioned, we all know that Uluru, Ayers Rock, can no longer be climbed. Apparently, hundreds of thousands of tourists used to scale the rock every year, but that was put to a stop almost exactly 5 years ago when a ban was brought in. The reason given by Australian Traveller is that Uluru isn't yours to climb. Almost exactly 2 years ago, Mt Warning, Uluru, was closed off from the public, and if you don't think they're serious, just a couple of months ago, an Australian hiker was fined $300 for daring to walk up an Australian mountain. Earlier this year, we reached peak lunacy after there were reports of the New South Wales government forking out $7,000 a week of your taxpayer money to hire security guards to protect the mountain from evil humans. Well, only certain humans. Apparently, if you are of the right ancestry and are male, then you are free to access the mountain. Although at the time this caused a bit of a stir among Indigenous women who pushed back against the plan, labelling it discriminatory. And just when you thought we couldn't go much further with all this, Mount Arapiles in Western Victoria, considered by abseiling enthusiasts to be the country's premier abseiling location, is also facing a ban. Fury as Parks Victoria bans rock climbing after secret surveys, with the ABC reporting that the traditional owners welcome the ban in order to protect culturally significant sites, not to mention the call to close down public access to the beautiful Glasshouse Mountains. Can anybody please tell me where we're heading with all of this? What is the goal? Are we going to close off all forms of recreational activities that occur in the natural environment in Australia? Will Australians ultimately be banned from everywhere? What are we supposed to do? Some people are fighting back, such as the neo-Nazis, who are holding illegal meetings on Mt Warning. Vile neo-Nazi protesters climb Bunjalong's sacred site. The ABC, New South Wales Police investigating suspected white supremacist rally held at Wollumben Mountain. The protesters unfurled a banner stating, "Mt Warning for the white man." I'm certainly not suggesting we go that far, but isn't the opposite equally bad, only allowing Aboriginal men? The networks rightfully condemn this extreme neo-Nazi position, but yet they seem to actively promote handing over the mountain to Aboriginal custodians who are limiting it to only men of a certain ethnicity. I think that's an extreme position too. Yes, it's extreme to say Mt Warning is for the white man, but it's also extreme to say it's only for Aboriginal men. Don't they see that extremism breeds extremism? Wouldn't a better solution be that all Australian sites should be accessible to all Australian people, no matter what your ethnicity or gender? Or am I now considered the extremist?